One of the big experiences that you had as a coach was the 2016 College World Series. Your team upset the top-seeded South Carolina Gamecocks in their own building, no less, which was very impressive. Just talk about that experience, that season, that game, and the things that were most memorable to you.
Well, that was obviously a great year. We won the A-10 championship. We got hot at the right time, and we ran through. I think we outscored the opponents like 45 to like 8 in the A-10 tournament. So we were hot, and our number one pitcher was an All-American. We knew he could beat anybody in the country. He was really, really good. So going down there, I mean, I knew they were going to take us lightly, but we knew South Carolina was very good. So, I mean, the atmosphere, it's a beautiful stadium. I mean, it's basically a major league park. You know, it's like 10, 12,000 people. It was packed. They were all over us, yelling at us. And we loved it. I mean, it was great. And it's funny. I think they hit 2 home runs in the first inning or first 2 innings. We were down 4-0 early. I'm like, oh man, this could get away from us. But our starting pitcher hung in there, and he ended up dominating him through. And we played an awesome game, and got a couple big hits, back-to-back home runs, a big knock there, I think 5th or 6th, and then we held on. And honestly, it was probably the best win in the history of our program. I mean, it was our first NCAA tournament win. You know, we beat South Carolina. It was like 5th or 6th in the country at their place in front of 10,000, 12,000 people. I mean, it's an experience our guys will never forget. It's something that, we're striving to get back to that point. We've been close to getting back to the regionals, and I mean, it was a phenomenal experience just all around. We played a great game. Like I said before, we played clean, no errors, a couple of big hits, great pitching. Our 2 relievers shut the door in the 8th and 9th inning. I mean, we had some guys on base, and it's funny. I think the score was 5-4 in the 5th, and ended up being 5-4. And I'm usually always nervous during games. Like, how are we going to hold on? For some reason, I just felt so good about that we were going to hold on and get that W. And it was an awesome experience. And just getting texts from our alumni and friends of the program that night. I mean, I probably got 150 texts that night. It was a great experience for our guys to go through that. And it was awesome. My wife had a chance to go down too, and it's something that she'll never forget either. And she's not a huge fan of South Carolina fans because they were not very nice to us during that game. But I didn't hear any of that stuff. But it was awesome. It was an awesome experience.
We are talking to URI Baseball head coach Raphael Cerrato. Now, Coach, I know a lot of fans, and matter of fact, one of our fans keep posting, talk about Michigan. What does he think about the run for the title game? So I'll ask you that question first. What did you think about Michigan and winning the title last year?
I mean, Coach Backus is a great coach. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, traditionally, we've had a good program, but just with it was fun. It's good to see northern schools have success. I mean, I think the level of the playing field is evening much more than it was 10, 20 years ago. Much more. Schools like Michigan, they wouldn't have won. Teams in the Northeast, UConn, us, even Stony Brook a few years ago when we went to the World Series. Northeastern, there's teams that can really compete at the highest level. So it's good to see that. I was rooting for the northern schools because they were certainly at a disadvantage. But they were phenomenal, phenomenal job, great team. They have unlimited resources, a program like that with the kind of money they have from football and basketball. So they definitely have, it's not as big a disadvantage for a school like that because they can do a lot of different things with that, with facilities and travel. But, I'm always rooting for northern schools because it shows that we can play with anybody.
Now, Coach, I know I'm pretty sure URI is in Rhode Island, if I'm not mistaken. So,
it is, yes.
Yes. So I know it's close to a city with the first letter begins with B, okay? And that's Boston, the Red Sox.
Yep.
Tell me that, first of all, are you a Boston Red Sox fan?
I am a Boston Red Sox fan.
Oh, come on, Coach. What are you doing to me?
Yeah. I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut, northern Connecticut, which is basically split between Red Sox and Yankees fans. So
of course.
And I've always hated, especially in the '90s, man, I hate the Yankees. It changed. 2004 changed a lot for me as a fan.
Of course it did.
It was doomsday every year for us Red Sox fans, but it certainly changed a lot. But Yeah, I'm a little down on the Red Sox right now for trading Mookie Betts. I'm not happy about that. So I don't know what I'm. Well, I might end up being my nephew's a shortstop for the Diamondbacks, so I might be rooting a little more for the Diamondbacks in the coming years than the Red Sox.
Well, they brought a good young GM from Tampa, so hopefully he can
Yeah,
rebuild.
yeah. I don't really like. They're kind of saying we can't afford Mookie Betts. You're the Boston Red Sox. You have a lot of money. Like you don't trade Mookie Betts. You just don't do it.
Maybe
So,
he'll come back. Maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So again, you were talking about the Red Sox, and again, a lot of new shifts with Chaim Bloom now coming in, as Errol was mentioning, a new GM from the Red Sox. Again, they're trying to get out of a lot of these bad contracts that they've had between pitchers and guys like Rusney Castillo. And I always said what Chaim Bloom is, what they're trying to do is they're trying to just find gems to maybe get through the times, and then when they get their money back, they'll be back in terms of spending. Do you think that's what they're trying to do? And what do you think his approach will be with that?
I mean, I would say, they definitely had a lot of, big contracts. Price and, Betts was going to be coming up, and, Porcello's, I think, is done now. And, but they gave a lot of money to Sale, and that was kind of risky. And, he's a guy that definitely have had injuries, and his body type, you don't know if he's going to last. Yeah, I'm not sure what their plan is. I mean, I'm certainly trying to get rid of the contracts, but if teams are spending, Red Sox make a lot of money. They fill that place every night, the TV contracts. So if anyone should be in the top 2 or 3 every year, it should be the Red Sox. Like, they don't tell me you don't have the money to sign, especially a guy, like I said, I keep, bringing back the Mookie, but he's a guy, you can't lose a guy like that. He's one of the top 3 or 4 players in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You're the Red Sox. You're not, Tampa. Like, you can afford, you have to pay this guy. So, a guy like, especially a position player where, odds are he's going to stay healthy and be good for another 6, 8, 10 years, hopefully. Pitchers, it's risky. You offer more 3 or 4 year deal. That is, guys get hurt. It's almost inevitable that at some point you're going to get hurt. And then, I'm not sure, would they sign a guy like Sale in the future for that long term? It's tough. It's tough to, what they're going to try to do. They got some good young players, but, I don't cry poverty to me, if you're the Boston Red Sox. I'm sorry.
Oh, they got to stay away from Chris Sale. I would be far away from Chris Sale. They just gave him a big-time contract. What was it, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I think it was a big mistake. I think it was a big mistake.
Yeah, and he just had, I believe he just had
Tommy John
earlier this year. So, you could see that coming. Like, he could never last the whole season and be 100% healthy. And, I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
I threw you under the bus there. I did.
Yeah, that's all right.
We are talking to URI Baseball head coach Raphael Cerrato. Now, before we let you go, and I'm a huge baseball fan. I grew up, I was a center fielder, and I love the competitiveness, and I would love to come down there to Rhode Island and maybe do it, have an interview with some of your players, and we would love to go over there and really get the insight of some of your young players and where they see themselves as baseball players. Now, this is my last question for you. With everything that happened with the Houston Astros situation with Rob Manfred, and I think this has really been completely blown out of proportion, but nevertheless they cheated, and I believe the MLB did not do enough to prove that this should never happen again. What is your thoughts to the whole Houston Astros situation and the Boston Red Sox situation? Yeah. And do you feel that they didn't lay the hammer enough on those teams?
I definitely think it could have been more. It could have been more punishment for the Astros and the Red Sox. I think it's terrible for the game. And it's funny, I had this, like I said before, my nephew's a shortstop for the Diamondbacks, Nick Ahmed, and I had a conversation to him about this too, and talking about that, and he's like, do you think you guys do it? He's like, no, it's like, we don't. He's like, how do you feel about that? And it's like, it's terrible. I think there's if you can pick up, and my thought behind this, if you can pick up whether, a guy at second base, you can pick up the signs of the catcher, or the pitcher's tipping something, stuff like that, you can get on the field, like, that absolutely is fair game, that kind of stuff. Or you can look at video from a previous game and you can pick something up, I think that's fair game. But any in-game technology that's at the same time as a game, using iPads and dugout, seeing video during the game, I think that is absolutely should be not allowed, and it shouldn't happen ever. So I think in terms it's part of the game of trying to steal signs and say looking at past video or looking at something that's live during a game with your own eyes. I think that's all fair game for stealing, but to use technology to have a camera set up, that banging on a garbage can, I mean that's brutal, and should never ever be allowed. And I think they could have easily come down harder. It flat out to me it's cheating. Yeah, you could kind of say team cheat trying to steal signs. That's just picking stuff up with your eyes. If you can do that, that's all part of it. We try to do it, stealing signs from pitchers or tipping or maybe a coach's sign, picking it up. But by using any kind of video or something that's same time as a game, that's terrible, and it's a disgrace, honestly. And it's going to follow those guys to me for the rest of their career. You're going to think of it's too bad because they're great players like a Bregman or Correa, and those guys they cheated and they did it. And even like Cora, who did a great job with the Red Sox. I mean, they're part of that. You're never going to forget that to me, and that's going to be a stain on their career, which is unfortunate because they probably would have won it anyway. As they didn't have to do it, but I think it's terrible for the game. Shouldn't happen, and they should definitely punish probably more than what they were.
Last question for me. So we've seen in a lot of sports the college transfer portal. We see it a lot, especially with basketball being active, where to the extent a lot of guys are getting instant eligibility right away. Now, the rule hasn't been in place with baseball yet. I guess I think from what one of our coaches said yesterday, they're going to vote on it again in January. Would you be in favor of that kind of thing where the guys would not have to sit out a year and wait it out, and they would just get instantly moved to a new team right away, kind of like a free agency in the pro sports? Are you in favor of that, or should they stick to the old style?
I think they should stick to it. I don't think it's good for the game. I think the problem with that is if a player can just be allowed to transfer, you can transfer. You just have to sit out a year. I think what the problem with that is there's so many kids, and there's some, I'm not going to get into it, but kids playing summer ball, kids talking, kids leaving. I mean, it would be the wild, wild west. I think with moving around, it would hurt a lot of programs. And I don't think it would be the right thing to do for college baseball. I think the rule now it works. I mean, I don't think you should change it. I think it would be terrible for the game because kids would be going all over the place. I mean, right now there's over 800 kids in the Division I transfer portal, which is unbelievable. And again, a lot of that's because you have the kids that are graduating school and they got another year back so they can transfer. So it's more than normal, way more than normal this year. But I don't think it would be good for a college game at all. And I think that's, the issue. I think the problem too, recruiting wise, if you go back a little bit, if you guys got a second, I mean, I think kids are committing so early right now. They don't make great decisions. I think there's a lot of kids that commit too early and they don't necessarily make the best decision. Like that's the right school for them. I think what should change to me is the ability to sign a letter of intent at any point during your high school career. So if you want to sign your letter of intent as a freshman or sophomore, kids those offers wouldn't go out there as much. Kids wouldn't commit so early because they wanted to be sure. And then you end up getting the right school instead of maybe just picking a school because of the name or maybe the scholarship offer, but it's not really the right fit. And then it ends up being a bad decision. So, you get kids who want to transfer. So I think that rule should stick. I think they should really look into giving this high school kid the ability to sign a letter of intent at any point. And you would see a lot less kids committing so early. And, you're talking about kids committing when they're freshmen, kids committing verbally before they even had their freshmen, before they even played varsity baseball. I mean, that's not right. That's not a good decision for a 14, 15-year-old kid to make, to choose a school. And I think that's where you end up getting a lot of bad decisions. And I think if that changes, you get less kids who make bad decisions. Less schools, are throwing out offers left and right to kids that are 8th grade, 9th grade, and it ends up being a bad move for everyone. So, yeah, I think that should stick. And I think a lot of problems could happen if you allow kids to just transfer left and right and just go play right away. It wouldn't be good for the game.